Hey guys, what's going on? It's me, Filmington, and in this video we're going to be talking about the 2022 Topps Series 2 SP of Julio Rodriguez. That's the J-Rod short print, follow-through pose, whatever you want to call it. Full disclosure, I own 6 of these at this point. Now, there's a lot of people right now on social media, blowout forums, Instagram, Facebook, trying to either inquire about or speculate, pontificate on how many of these were printed of the J-Rod SP. And there's people that I've seen and heard from that have said between 2,900 through, on the high side of the range, probably 50,000 and above. Now, to be fair, a lot of the people that showed their math, the one thing in common that they had was that they used the assumption that the J-Rod SP and the Witt SP and all the other rookies were collated like the non-rookies in the Series 2 set. So the 78 or so SPs, they looked at pack odds and they were able to come up with a number, maybe make some assumptions around retail, and have something in the 3,000 to 4,000 range for the most part. My back of the envelope math, I did not use that same assumption that the J-Rod SP was collated the same, but I came up with a number that was closer to like 7 to 10,000. Okay, but I'm probably wrong, probably flawed, versus some of the people that did a little bit more detective work here. So, but this is besides the point. The people that have done this research or are curious about this, they're doing it because they're trying to compare the J-Rod with a couple proxies. The bat down Acuna from 18S2 and the 19 no number Vlad from Series 2, and they're trying to kind of compare, you know, the print runs of each to, I think, back into what could be an appropriate forecasted market value in their eyes for what the J-Rod SP could and should be worth. And I don't fault them for that. You know, I mean, I'm looking at those other cards as proxies as well. But the part that I understand that I think a lot of people aren't considering is that there are other factors outside of supply that matter here. Now, the print runs from a supply perspective, those are always going to be a significant variable in determining market value of a card short-term and long-term. I completely understand that, but there's some other factors here. Some of these have to do with supply, a lot of these have to do with demand as well. So one of these, the first one I thought of was, what other flagship rookies is J-Rod going to have? First off, with Topps Update, I think we can assume that he'll have a base card, probably some rookie debut card with a rookie logo on it. He's probably going to have a bunch of parallels of that base card, obviously. He's going to have a few short prints and SSPs, most likely. We don't know that for sure. Maybe an SSSP. We don't know what the print runs will be of those cards. So there's a few factors here. There's potentially more SPs and parallels versus what was offered in 18 and 19. And there's also printing those to a higher extent, where that could have an impact on the J-Rod SP, because there's just more cards out there. And you could even go further with this and bring into the fold Topps Chrome, Topps Finest, and all of the other sets, maybe new sets. And if you're to look back over the last 3 or 4 years, even between last year and this year, on some of the print run increases that we've already seen, some of that might dilute the value of the J-Rod SP, because there's just too many other competing cards that were printed to a higher amount. In addition to that, you've got desirability of the image. What's the demand for that image? So follow through horizontal card looks, you know, it's pretty nice, but the elusiveness of the bat down Acuna, the fact that you could only get that pose in certain sets, I think helped. I think today it certainly helps. If you look at the Topps Chrome Sapphire Acuna, I don't know if Ohtani has ever eclipsed the Acuna card in value. Now, the Ohtani card has its own issues with the pitching pose, but that's one example. Also, if you look at the Acuna bat down, blowout estimates of its print run were 20,000. I used to not believe that, but I kind of do, because they really do average one pulled per about one hobby case, which is kind of a lot. Having said that, though, the bat down card outsells the gold update bat up in PSA 10. So About 1,100 versus 1,000 last sold as of making this video. But if you were to go back a few years, you'll notice that they trade very closely to one another. I think in most cases, the bat down is usually a little bit above that. So even though the bat down is 10 times more common, it is selling for in a PSA 10 more than the gold update. Now, you might blame that on condition sensitivity, which we'll talk about soon, because if you were to look at the actual pop reports, the bat down does not outnumber the gold by 10x. I think it might be closer to like 3.5x, 3.5 to 4x. But if you're to look at the Labor Torres horizontal from 18 Series 2, you'll see that the gold update of that outsells the horizontal. So it's the other way around, where the gold update of Torres is actually preferred, where with Acuna, it was not. So there's a few things here that could be at play. There's the desirability of the bat down pose with Acuna, and or the vertical versus horizontal image. So why is this relevant? Because with J-Rod, it's a horizontal image. Now, earlier we made the assumption that there will be a base card and update with a rookie card stamp of J-Rod. I think it's pretty safe to assume that. Will it be vertical? Slightly lesser probability, but I still think that, there's at least a 9 in 10 chance that it's going to be a vertical rookie card of J-Rod in 2022 update. So you've got that factor that could potentially make the J-Rod card stand out from the Acuna. Now, condition sensitivity with the Acuna bat down, right now there are under 4% of the total cards in circulation, the 20,000 or so, only 4%, less than 4% are graded a PSA 10. So that's actually pretty low. With the Vlad 19 no number, I checked a little bit earlier, and I think it was around like 5.8%, so a little bit under 6%. Now, the Vlad no number, a lot of people complain that was condition sensitive. The corners, top right maybe, top left as well, I think. I forget. But it was one of the top corners. With Acuna bat down, you heard both of those same issues with the corners, but also print dots on the front surface. That could be something that sets it apart from J-Rod. But as I mentioned earlier, I have 6 of these, but I bought 8. I sold a couple already. Of the 8 I purchased from eBay, I picked them up within 3 days of release because I thought that condition would swing my way if I did that. I picked these up from 6 different sellers, and 6 of the 8, 75% of the cards I picked up, have pretty major surface issues between indents and scratches and dimples, like really stuff that you'd never really see with an ultra modern paper surface card. Now the centering was very, very good in most cases, as well as the other examples I saw on eBay. I mean, for the most part, a lot of them fall within PSA 10's tolerance of centering. Now the corners and the edges, for the most part, were very, very good for the J-Rod, but the surface issues could actually make it stand out, I think. So what's another factor that separates the J-Rod from potentially these proxy cards that we've been talking about is the demand for the player itself. Like, what's the player's market? I think right now J-Rod sells for about, if you look at like their Bowman Chrome autograph PSA 10, it must be close to like 2/3, 70% of Acuna. Acuna going into his age 25 season, I think next year, he still hasn't had more than one season where he's played at least like 111 games, I think. So he's had some injury issues, kind of got screwed with COVID. Of course, got called up a little bit later in his rookie year. There could be some people, some scared money, some people that aren't as willing to hold Acuna long term. That's kind of the dynamic I've seen over the last year and a half, 2 years, that is a threat to continued appreciation with Acuna's prices. People kind of doubting his ability to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, which I think, a lot of people were pretty confident in the first couple of years based on that very small sample size. Now with J-Rod, if we're to nitpick here, he does have some issues with selectivity. He chases quite a bit. Walk rate is quite below what he showed at least last year in the minors. Strikeouts have come down since April, and I think his OPS has improved each month. And his WAR, he's sitting at 3.5. F WAR right now, he's got a ton of steals, got some home runs. He's like one of the first major leaguers ever to have his stats at an all-star break, combination of power and speed and RBIs, I think it was. So he's a guy that could potentially get some hype in the offseason. And he could potentially surpass Acuna, who knows? But that's another factor when comparing the J-Rod horizontal with the SP of Acuna. Now, I've heard people out there say like, well, not that much of this stuff will get opened because Series 2 is kind of a dud product, and that could help the prices and keep pop reports down potentially for the J-Rod card long term. But I think you can't really say that, because I think once that demand goes up for the card itself and the price goes up for the card in graded form, then you'll start to see more people kind of open the product. They kind of work hand in hand with one another. So that's it. So it's not just about the supply. Supply is a big factor. Now, if you were to ask me right now, based on all of that, what do I think the card should be worth in 3 or 6 months? I'll tell you that, the factors that we talked about, supply might be the one that's easiest to pin down. The other ones have a wide range of outcomes, and who knows? I mean, $600 plus or minus 300 raw. I have no idea. All right, guys, that's it. Let me know what you think down below. Take care, guys. Phil McDonough.